The FIA has a long history of controversies in the F1 world, and it doesn't look like they're stopping anytime soon. The president of the FIA has put his foot in it again, annoying F1 and Liberty Media in his latest rant on Twitter. The FIA didn't have the best season in 2022, with multiple mistakes and many teams feeling bewildered. They've managed to create further tension with F1 and F1 team bosses, and according to reports, enough is enough with Ben Sulayem on borrowed time. Stick around to find out why. Ben Sulayem has been in the role for a little over a year and hasn't had the most straightforward introduction, with a controversial end to the 2021 season, a court case to deal with, and the minor issue of the budget cap breach. All handled pretty well in the end, but you can't help but feel this is Mohammed Ben Sulayem's world and we're all just living in it. At least that's what the FIA president appears to believe. The president recently said this: "You see, I inherited a lot. I won't say it was a good inheritance. He must be applauded for handling those situations and dealing with them, but one thing he has not done is work harmoniously with F1. To be frank, he has done the opposite, with F1 and the FIA continuously butting heads, which is all from his own doing." Now, for anyone new to the sport, the FIA owns the championship and is its governing body. Still, Liberty Media owns the commercial rights to the sport itself, and F1 has its leadership headed by Chief Executive Stefano Domenicali. This is also not the first time the FIA and F1 have clashed, with the most recent spat happening in 2009 before signing the 2009 Concord Agreement, with several political clashes over the proposed changes in 2010. It started when former FIA President Max Mosley pushed for a $30 million budget cap for 2010, but 7 of the 10 teams object to the idea and threatened a breakaway series. After months of meetings and negotiations, a new agreement was finally reached, led by Eccleston, which ensured F1's future was preserved. That's not to say, though, that this saga is expected to go down that path. But what has got us to this point where the president of the FIA is being called to step down? Firstly, we had the Andretti saga, with Sulayem announcing to the world that F1 was opening its doors to new teams. Immediately after Ben Sulayem's tweets, one party after another declared that they were very keen to join Formula One, with the most prominent candidate being Michael Andretti. The American saw the FIA boss's words as confirmation that he could soon be on the grid with his men. From the teams, it remained virtually silent, though, apart from an occasionally cautiously optimistic message from Toto Wolff or Zach Brown, for example. The news from the paddock, however, was F1 team bosses were at boiling point, and so was F1, with the body releasing a very lukewarm response to the whole matter. What now appears to be the straw on the camel's back is his latest view on the takeover bid from Saudi Arabia. According to Bloomberg, Saudi Arabia, through its sovereign wealth fund, PIF, Public Investment Fund, is interested in buying the commercial rights for F1. An offer of $20 billion is said to have been made but rejected by Liberty. Now, the FIA has no right to comment on selling the F1 commercial rights and should stay well away from any comment over it. It does not sit in its remit. Well, that does not seem to apply to Ben Sulayem, with the president taking to Twitter to say this: "Any potential buyer should use common sense, consider the good of the sport, and have a clear, sustainable plan, not just a lot of money. It is our duty to think about the future impact on promoters in terms of higher race fees and other commercial costs, and any negative impact on fans," he wrote. Now, we do get where he is coming from. He is essentially trying to ensure that if someone were to buy the commercial rights, the fans and teams would be protected, as someone willing to spend $20 billion on the product will want a high return. In order to make this work, may increase the cost in other places. Frankly, I think the figure is inflated. It is exaggerated. Let us talk with common sense. Is Formula One worth that much? If you pay that much money for a product, you will make it more expensive in some places to get the money back, he explains. I just look at the reasoning behind it, the logic behind it, because you need a plan, he says of possible buyers, adding, "So far it's just rumors anyway, but I think the FIA should also be part of these talks or give advice," said Ben Sulayem. Now, anyone that knows their F1 history knows back in 2001, the European Commission was pretty clear about the FIA's scope, stating back then, the role of the FIA will be limited to that of a sports regulator, with no commercial conflicts of interest. It added, The FIA will therefore have no influence over the commercial exploitation of the Formula One Championship. If you were Liberty, you would be somewhat annoyed by one of the key stakeholders in the sport suddenly saying that the sport is overvalued and does not warrant the price being put in front of it. And now it does look like F1 has had enough, issuing a strongly worded letter to the FIA that stated, "The FIA has given unequivocal undertakings that it will not do anything to prejudice the ownership, management, and/or exploitation of those rights. We consider that those comments made from the FIA president's official social media account interfere with those rights in an unacceptable manner. Anyone in business will know that if someone from inside the company starts to devalue the brand, the market will naturally listen. Elon Musk did this with Tesla via Twitter and even did it with Twitter, ultimately shooting himself in the foot, but that's for another day. With the head of the FIA stating that the brand is cheaper than what it is, you would expect the market to devalue it, and F1 had more to say in this matter, with the president potentially being a liability for any value lost. This oversteps the bounds of both the FIA's remit and its contractual rights. The FIA is liable for any damages to Liberty's value. The letter further stresses that Formula One has the exclusive right to exploit the commercial rights in the FIA F1 World Championship. The FIA has given unequivocal undertakings that it will not do anything to prejudice the ownership, management, and/or exploitation of those rights. The posts from the FIA president's official social media account interfere with our rights in an unacceptable manner. The circumstances in which the FIA would have any role in a change of control of the F1 group are very limited. Any suggestion or implication to the contrary, or that any potential purchaser of the F1 business is required to consult with the FIA, is wrong. Damning words from a partner you will need to work closely with in the future. Recently, the president said he had a great relationship with Stefano Domenicali and F1, and all of the speculations were created by the media. If we dive into this, that's not precisely true. F1 had a very lukewarm response to his tweet and remarks about new teams entering F1 and has thrown this in his face. So what next for the outspoken FIA president? It will be interesting to say the least. He could apologize to F1 and move on, but he must address how he airs his opinions. However, it would be wrong to suggest F1 will settle for nothing less than an FIA coup and someone else brought in to head the governing body. And agreeably, the teams are not happy with sources reporting that F1 team bosses cannot see how he can keep his job. Senior figures are calling for his head, with most teams stating the growing tension between the FIA and F1 as the reason that this cannot continue. There is history here, with another underlying story being that Ben Sulayem feels that the F1 rights have been sold too cheaply and that the FIA should have got more out of the deal. But now there is some more exciting news, with maybe one last parting gift from the president of the FIA stating that a new team could join as early as next week. Maybe as early as next week, another manufacturer could sign for the 2026 engine regulations, revealed Ben Sulayem. According to reports, it's not Porsche, so we wonder who it could be. Let us know what you think. Should the president of the FIA keep his job? Comment below.